Hi, I'm Kristen Denny-Chambers, clarinetist, composer, and founder of Clarinet Playground. This is video number 6 out of 40, going through all of the etudes in Finger Fitness Études Book 2. This is Quartz Mountain. Quartz Mountain is dedicated to Julianne Kirk Doyle. She is the Professor of Clarinet and the Director of the Crane Youth Music Camp at the Crane School of Music. Julianne is a founding member of the Aria Reed Trio and currently serves as Principal Clarinet with the Orchestra of Northern New York and Northern Symphonic Winds. Dr. Doyle also really enjoys performing and presenting at conferences like Midwest Band and Orchestra Clinic, International Clarinet Association, International Double Reed Society, and tons more. Quartz Mountain was chosen for Julianne. She is a native of Tulsa, Oklahoma, same as me, and she attended the Oklahoma Summer Arts Institute at Quartz Mountain in 3 different disciplines. In 8th grade, she went for ballet, 10th grade for viola, and 12th grade for the clarinet. Julianne really loved the intensified focus on the arts and performing alongside colleagues who were as excited and passionate about the arts as she was. To this day, her time at Quartz Mountain stands out as some of her most cherished musical memories from hearing great artists and experiencing performances of all the arts. Now let's take a look at the music. At the bottom of each page of these etudes, there's 1 or 2 little practice tips to keep in mind while you're working on the music. For this one, we have lift fingers cleanly in measures 5 through 6 and other similar instances. That's a tricky spot, and we will look at that here in a minute. The next thing to bring your attention to are the finger drills. You will find these at the top of each page, and they are directly folded into the music as part of the challenge in the etude. So for this one, we're playing from A to D, and that involves lifting fingers from both hands. So it's very easy to accidentally get a little blip or a few extra notes in between with that movement. So I like to think of the idea of lead fingers. So when you go up, think about leading with your ring finger, almost as if it's going to lift first. But you try to coordinate that together and just really concentrate on the ring finger when you're lifting. And then when you're setting your fingers down, focus on the middle finger of the right hand, almost as if it's going to land first, even though, you're going to do it a little differently than that. But lead with that finger, and that way you avoid fanning down or something like this. The style and character of this etude is a waltz, plain and simple. The goal is to eventually feel it in 1. Of course, you want to start learning it in 3 to make sure everything feels secure, but we want it to flow rapidly and feel in 1 eventually. So you can imagine a stream flowing down a mountain with bubbling rapids here and there, and the movement is constant with a sweeter, more still section in the middle. I'll play these 2 examples. The rhythms in this etude are pretty simple. There's nothing that's too outrageous that you're going to come across, but there are a lot of running 16th notes in the main motive, like in measure 1. I'll play that again for you. You'll also come across some quarter eighths and some quarter 16th rhythms. So if we look at measure 33 and then measure 28 and measure 63. And 28. And 63. You'll also see just some simple plain 8th notes and a few other combinations, but nothing too surprising like I mentioned. There is 1 dotted rhythm and 1 set of 32nd notes. So let's look at the dotted rhythm in 31. You have the D and then A, F, E, D. If you want, you can subdivide the D, and that might help you to know exactly where that takeoff point is when you go to the A. Here's a subdivided version and then a regular version. And in 38, we have that 1 little 32nd note appearance. It's basically just a little turn that's written out, and you have a multi-retard there, so you can slow down leading into the A. A few areas to focus on. Overall, you want to aim for really even 16th notes. There are a lot of just plain 16th note runs in this, so work to make those very even. And you want to focus on a clear and crisp staccato when it's marked. There are a lot of slurs, so when you do see the staccato, you want to make a nice clear difference. And measure 5 through 6 can be a finger twister, and that comes back. So let's look at 5 and 6. We have E going down to B flat, that's in our key, then A, D, C sharp, D, and then you do it again. E, B flat, A, D, C sharp, D. So that's a bit of a finger twister involving the right hand, and then you have to come up here and be ready to do D to C sharp and coordinate those fingers to work together. That usually gets me when I come back to this one, so that's an area that I have to focus on. I'll play those two measures. The sweetly section can be really flexible and expressive. Feel free to take your time there and maybe hold the tempo back if you want. And then measure 17 and 25. We've got some movement crossing the register, and then we have the low notes in 25. And with those leaps, you want to work for a clean movement in between the notes and make sure those chords are being played really clearly and your fingers are moving clearly. And then also balance the volume. So it could be really easy, like for instance in measure 17, for the clarion D to pop, or maybe the F, the top line of the staff, might pop. So we want those low notes to have a little bit more oomph to them. Same thing with 25, put a little bit more energy in the low F and A and play a little bit lighter as the notes go up. Here's 17 and 25. There is a low C option for Quartz Mountain. Turn to page 49 and you'll see that one. I usually say learn the original first as a rule. And then just take note that 17 to 48 is where you'll see most of the notes that go down. And the opening and closing A sections are generally the same as the original. However, at the very end, if you want, you can take that down to a low D, and I may actually change that in future editions. I heard Tom Pawlowski do a recording of that just today, actually, so now I'm inspired to maybe make that change so that we can take advantage of more of those low notes on the low C instruments. And just a few final thoughts for Quartz Mountain. The main goal is to get it to feel in one so that it really conveys that easy lilt of a waltz. But take your time, learn it in 3 first, and then gradually speed it up so you can feel it in 1. And as it relates to Julianne, keep in mind her 3 disciplines: clarinet, viola, and dance. The clarinet plays the sweeping opening and closing themes, waltzing along light and lively as a dancer, while the sweetly section is very vocal in nature and could represent the singing qualities of a viola. To listen to a beautiful recording of this etude and all other etudes from this book, head over to my website, clarinetplayground.com. Trevor Stewart has recorded all 40 etudes beautifully, and they are available for purchase there on my website. Feel free to join us in the Clarinet Playground group on Facebook where we play and post for each other. And head over to my website at clarinetplayground.com for more fun music and books. Thank you so much.